Hello and welcome to the Two Robbies Podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League and the Champions League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earl, and this is our recap episode of Week 4 in the 2022-23 season. And here are today's topics. Arsenal get a late winner against Fulham to remain perfect on the season. Erling Haaland's first Premier League hat-trick helps Man City beat Palace 4-2. Liverpool absolutely smash Bournemouth, putting 9 past the Cherries. 10-man Chelsea gets past Leicester City 2-1. And Manchester United edge past Southampton 1-0 for their second straight victory. That's what we've got coming up in today's episode.
That's right, Musty, and because the Premier League is back, so's your chance to win $50,000. Play Premier League Pick'em for free, and you can become the next big winner. Download the NBC Sports Predictor app today, available in the App Store or Google Play Store. Okay, mate, listen, Week 4 done in the bag. Let's start it off with title contenders.
Leaders
Arsenal,
in the clubhouse. Yep.
4 wins in 4, the only team with maximum points in the league. Talk to me how Mikel Arteta and his men did this, because they went a goal down up to a quite poor mistake by Gabriel at the back. Mitrovic got the goal that put Fulham ahead. And for me, one of the biggest things I saw in Arsenal was there wasn't a panic.
More of a determined pulling together of the team. I think we've got to mention the atmosphere in there. Yeah. You know, I think since then we've heard from, I think it was a former player, Alan Smith talked about it, Rob, and somebody else talked about that the atmosphere in that is like, we're going back 10 years to some of the atmosphere, so that's great. Let me start this way, Rob. When we do our preparation for each game, you know, I think we do it a similar way. We kind of have a top sheet about certain things that we're thinking about looking for. My top line of Arsenal is grooved right now. Are they going to be consistent? Are they durable? Are they ready for Fulham's organised pressing? And what happens when possession or the slick football is not possible? You know, have they got other ways to win? I think we've got a few answers there, really, because they did struggle a little bit at times, and they made.
Fulham are well set up.
They are very well set up, very well organised. I think a situation where Arsenal had to be super patient. They dominated the ball, they dominated territory. They looked good in many situations. The final piece wasn't coming. And then, of course, the mistake happens. And then we get on to some of my concerns about consistency and about durability and about spirit and about, I don't know, the ability to find ways to win. They did it all. And there's lots of talk now, of course, given their record on the show. Rebecca's asked us things like, you know, are they the real deal? Can they sustain a title challenge for a period of weeks and months? My sense is right now is why not? You know, the first 11 is better. I think that's absolutely for sure. I think the pre-season was great, grooved the system. And when you add players to the 11 and make it better, and you've had more time to work with the coach, you know, things should get better. So, impressed. Gabriel, sloppy, needs to learn from that. There's millions of things he could have done, let the ball run across his body. Of course, his touch wasn't great, but then you get the ball away. But he came back, of course, and scored the winning goal. So I thought it was a very, very impressive day for Arsenal again. The manager says everything, Robin. You see his face after Arteta. He's super happy, smiling. They remain perfect.
And I want to point to a couple of specifics from the game. I want to talk about the maturity of the group, which I think is important. Martin Odegaard was interesting, Rob, because I think we were just having an off-camera discussion with Rebecca, and I'm not sure how involved we were. We were talking about the captaincy. And I sort of said, an interesting one, Odegaard. Like, you know, was there anybody else who, you know, could he give it Gabriel? Could he give it Ben White? Could he give it Saka? And I saw when Arsenal were 1 down, Odegaard take a responsibility. And him and Saka started to get between the lines, Rob, and up their put, and almost like, I've got to find a way to drag this team back into the game. And I was really impressed with that. Another interesting sort of slightly detailed point is Arsenal now have a goalkeeper who you can rely on, and we saw why Fulham have a goalkeeper who at some point will let you down. Bert Leno used to be the #1 goalkeeper at Arsenal. And Bert Leno used to be in a team that we were saying, well, can they be top 4? Bert Leno will let you down on a couple of occasions, but poor mistakes, bad decisions, which he did for the second Arsenal goal, and Arsenal win the game. They have in Ramsdale a goalkeeper who listen, they're all going to make the odd mistake. They're all going to let a goal go in that will all, say, oh, should he have done better? But they've got a reliable, consistent goalkeeper now. It's so important. That Liverpool had to do, Rob, when they were getting it right. Pep sorted out the moment he walked in the door and got rid of Joe Hart. So the goalkeeper's another issue. And then I want to talk about the maturity. And I mentioned it I think it was a low down with Rebecca at the end of the show. A maturity on and off the pitch. On the pitch, it's just a responsibility. The Gabriel, that he's made the mistake. And you talk about the crowd. I read a couple of interesting articles last night where they said the Arsenal crowd are knowledgeable and understand that this team needs support. A few weeks ago, it was Saliba who gave an own goal away. They cheered him. Yeah. Apparently, they were really supportive of Gabriel yesterday. He goes and gets a winner. So there's a maturity about the way they play. And the manager, Rob, there was a moment where they get the second goal. Mikel Arteta goes running down the touchline, punches the air. The moment he lands on his feet, it was like, hold on a minute. I need to get hold of this game and make... And he went, Tomiyasu, off the bench, on you come, shut the shop. I think in time, there would have been times where Mikel Arteta would still have been hugging and thinging over what looked like the winning goal and could have caused them problems. There's a maturity running through the football club that's important.
I'll add to that as well, the manager, in terms of what he did.
Yeah.
They were losing the game 1-0. He made some kind of brave substitutions.
Yeah.
First off, Zinchenko was missed, in my opinion, at left back.
Zinchenko and Partey missing
were missed, but particularly
players.
They were big players. The first changes of the whole season, the first 3 games, unchanged Arsenal. Zinchenko adds technical quality, decision making, good on the ball, and Tierney is a really good player. So different. I mean, more conventional, of course, as a left fullback.
Yeah.
So I thought he was missed at left fullback. But anyway, back to the subs. They go without a left back. They bring off Tierney and Gabriel Martinelli. Has to kind of do with it. Yeah. But they throw on another attacking player, of course, in there. Eddie Nketiah, I thought, had an impact in the game. So good substitutions that helped find a way to get back into the game.
Yeah.
I just made a note there when you said it about the fans, Rob, and the reaction. I'm sure many of our Arsenal fans that are listening or watching now have watched or are in the middle of watching the documentary, right? It's a documentary, of course, on Arsenal Football Club right now. And throughout the episodes, I haven't reached the last 2 yet, but Arteta talks constantly to the team about connections and how the manager's connected to the players, you're connected to each other. In one episode, he goes around with a light bulb. We need the energy from every part of this football club to make this light bulb turn on type of thing, which is a bit gimmicky, whatever. But when you said about the fans getting behind Saliba, and when you was talking about they're getting behind the team, that's what he's talking about. They want a connection between the group of players and the supporters, and that's why when he has the non-negotiables in terms of attitude, he wants a team to be likeable for the fans. And I think the team is likeable. But what bunch of fans doesn't want a young, hungry team to go and cheer and support? So I think the connection is there. I think Arteta's made the team likeable. It's honest. It works hard. It's expansive. It wants to play. It's very different to some of the other teams in and around them right now, which we'll get on to. So I thought that was really important. And, I know Elneny played in there, Rob, and Lokonga could come in. Tomiyasu come on and looked like he was chomping at the bit. He came in to secure the points late on.
As you say,
and then Nketiah came on and made it. So you need your 11,
deeper,
but you need this season with these 5 subs, you need everybody to be on the same page. So again, I keep going back to Arteta's kind of like, we want good eggs, we want good pros. I think I'm starting to see the benefit of that, Rob, with these performances. Just
before we finish up on Arsenal, a couple of things just wanted to throw across you. Read this week, a couple of places, a couple of quotes. This is probably the best Arsenal team since Wenger days. Might be a bit of an early shout, but if you kind of think back to what they've been through, where they are.
The early Wenger days.
The early Wenger days of building.
Yeah, there's
a million steps to go, but I'm talking in terms of that. Just the other thing, Rob, and listen, it's an ownership group, the Kroenke group, that's had some criticism from the fans, some I think quite deservedly of how it's run, but of late, money's been spent. Do you think another body, they're talking about Pedro Neto or the like, another, Pepe's gone out now on loan to Nice, they've lost somebody in the attacking third.
Yes.
We saw Nketiah come on and can be an impact player from the bench, but they were to get an injury, Rob. If Gabriel Jesus was to go down and be out for
Well, they got Nketiah, but they ain't got many others, by the way.
Yeah, in the wide. I know these Smith Rowe's still waiting to come into the team, and
right.
But is there, with everything that's gone, with the start that they've had, with some of the other teams not looking quite as, would it be right now to go and get a Neto or somebody of similar quality to add to that group?
1,000,000%. Fabio Vieira is the other new signing they bought. They're just trying to get. Apparently, they're trying to get a little bit of power strength on him. He's a little bit light at the moment, so that's another one. But you're absolutely right. Pedro Neto is I think he's a star in the waiting. He had a nightmare last year. He fractured his kneecap last season. Was out really for a massive long time. Yeah. Let's talk about Pedro Neto. I think he'd be brilliant for Arsenal. The stuff that I've read the last couple of days, it looks unlikely. I don't know why the fee's going to be too high or whatever, but he would be a great addition. And right now, don't regret falling short because of maybe squad or for injuries, and they're a little bit bare bones. We saw that a little bit last year. We gave them the credit. They're rebuilding. They had to get rid of a lot of players. So let's wrap it on Arsenal. Really great. And it's the dreams of life for the Arsenal fans. And I tell you what, I feel good for the Arsenal fans because my goodness, I mean, we've been doing this stuff here now in this building for nearly 10 years now, and Arsenal, we've had to be honest about
a little bit like Manchester United, really.
A little bit, and the fans have gone through many years of torture, disappointment, frustration, not great kind of running of the club. They got it right.
Yeah, it's almost like you can be proud of their Arsenal team again, and that's a good thing. Little mention for Fulham, Rob, because I've got to feel good around Fulham.
I do too.
And Fulham have been in the league, and I know at times we've been a bit critical of them, or certainly I've been critical, that they didn't really give themselves a good enough go. They lacked a bit of physicality. They weren't well set up and organised to deal with the challenges of the Premier League. I think it's different. Marco Silveri's team very well set up, Rob. I know they didn't have as much possession of the ball, certainly in the first half, but they had a threat. They've got Mitrovic, they've got Dicko-Reed, and people who can break on a bit of a counter-attack. They've got people like Pereira, who's happy to have the ball, Rob, and knit the passing together. Paulinho looks like a good bit of business. I've got a real feel for Fulham. If Marco Silva can continue to be as diligent, work hard, get the tactics right, they've got a chance of staying in the league this year.
They've got a chance. A lot of it is going to come in on Mitrovic, obviously. I think it's 4 and 4. I think it's 4 goals and 4.
4 goals and 4, yes. Fourth goal,
That's superb.
It's more than he got all the last time he was in the league.
He got three goals. And Andreas Pereira from Manchester United, I just think he's a lovely, lovely footballer. Do you know what worries me, Rob, about him? When I look at the starting 11 right now, and there's a couple. Harry Wilson is a really good player, a wide player that's out injured at the moment. And listen, it sounds maybe a little bit harsh because defensively they were really, really good. They did concede 2 goals. Anthony Robertson looks good. Tim Ream played well. Tosin is a good player. I can't get by. It's the same back 4. It's the same defenders that were there.
Diop, haven't they? And is it Dunk? Duffy.
And Babu, Duffy.
There's a couple more to come.
There's got to be something different defensively, Rob. Or they're going to concede a lot of goals. They might score for you, Mitrovic, but I love the midfield. I just want to see freshness in the defensive side of things. You talk about the goalkeeper. That will be what I'm watching for. I think they're organised. I like the coach. Attacking options are good striker. But can they stop goals going on the other end? Well, it's early. We'll wait and see. Let's
take it to the Etihad, where Manchester City were one of their sort of bogey teams in some respects. Didn't score at all against Manchester City against Crystal Palace last season. Palace come to town and go 2-0 up at the break, Rob, and all of a sudden we're in the studio going, hold on a minute. They've gone, fairness to City, they've gone 2 goals behind in I think something like 4 of the last 6 games or something, and not lost any of them. And this was another case of, centre stage, Erling Haaland. Why you pay $63 million for somebody who gives you a different option? This is the day he shows us why Pep chased him and wanted him.
And we're learning stuff. We're seeing stuff every single week. What he's great at. What maybe the team has to change a little bit. I think we saw it in this game. I thought we saw it in one of the first games, maybe the first or second game. I haven't got my notes here now. When the game where he went through.
West Ham.
Got in behind West Ham, wasn't it? So. That's a critical part, and you're starting to see it. We just did a breakdown for the tactics session. Check that out on YouTube, on the NBC Sports YouTube channel, about City crossing the ball. They've got a guy in there that absolutely loves crosses. And at times last year, City super patient.
After
They'll try and
overplay a little bit
to create chances. They don't have to now, really. So the crosses came in today. We saw, was it the third goal he scored, where it was more typical Haaland, where he's side on, he's running in behind. I mean, we're seeing evidence each week at how he's going to work. What's he got, Rob? 6 goals already?
6 goals in 4, yeah.
First I mean, what does it take to beat Man City?
Yeah. And I think I said the line, I think it was in our pre-season podcast, where I just said they've added a wrecking ball to all the quality that they've got. They've got the ability, Rob, to be a bit direct now and then if things ain't going well.
As long as they do it. As long as they do it when things aren't going well.
And get it in the box. And this fella's going to out-muscle, out-move, out-manoeuvre. He's a smart operator in the box.
And strong.
He's got all the tick boxes you want. And, he was a difference of getting City back into the game and winning them the 3 points that, keeps them back up there and fighting. And it could have been very different. 2-0 down at half-time, Rob. If we know Palace are a decent team, if they can hold on and the goals don't go in, all of a sudden, everybody's asking big questions about Manchester City.
The last thing we've got to mention is Bernardo Silva. Scores a great goal. It gets the team going.
A little deflection in that, but
little deflection, but what a little player.
Pep was strong on Friday.
Well, I know. He kept getting asked about it.
Didn't he? Yeah.
Barcelona won him.
He was losing.
And PSG won him. 2 teams won him, didn't they? And he always said, Pep, if a player isn't happy...
I'd let him,
But to be fair, I think he always says, if we get our fair valuation... Now, it depends on the player for them. Raheem Sterling, they let go at a decent price.
Yeah.
It looks like they value Bernardo Silva more. And they're like, well, he might want to go, but whoa. Yeah. We're not here to make sure players get all what they want all the time. Yeah. Obviously, want a big fee for Bernardo Silva. I don't know whether they get it. And when he says he's not going anywhere... I mean...
I
don't think he's going anywhere.
Not in a club like that.
No.
It's not like the Chelsea situation with Leicester, where you knew it was just going to be a number and then it was going to go. But Pep gets the job done. Haaland pays a big slice of that $63 million they paid for him. City get 3 points and continue to raise up there. Let's talk about the most one-sided game of the weekend. Joint record 9 goals for Liverpool against Scott Parker's Bournemouth. I suppose the most impressive thing about Scott Parker's Bournemouth would be Scott's cardigan with the 4 stripes on it. It's apparently this high-fashion item, desirable for many parts. What wasn't so desirable was the way his team played. And I know you were watching this one a little bit more closely than me. We had all those games on at 10 o'clock. Yeah. But there was a couple of times we sort of said, like, come on, do something. And a little bit like you were saying, well, what's next? How are they going to get a goal? Why they? It's almost like I wouldn't say the white flag went out, but it felt like it was just one-way traffic. Right? Every time you looked up, it was another Liverpool attack, and you're thinking this could be any number.
Can you remember early in the game? I think it was like 3 after. I'm like, this could be 10. Yeah. And I wasn't really joking at the time, and it blimmin' almost was. This is super early. We've seen Bournemouth already this season. That didn't really lay a glove in previous games. I mean, I know Scott. He's a brilliant. He's my teammate of mine in one of my second to last season at Charlton Athletic in the Premier League. I played alongside Scott Parker for a couple of games. Brilliant lad, brilliant player. I mean, the interview afterwards was down, and he's like, "We're not equipped at this level."
It was a big point to the ownership, by the way.
Well, the ownership, his team. I mean, I didn't like it. It was like, we ain't good enough. What can I tell you? Type of thing.
I get that, Rob, and totally agree with you. Let me just, we're on the podcast, so we can go down slightly different avenues. You're captain of Bournemouth Football Club. You're away at Liverpool. You're 4-0 down, 40 odd minutes, let's say, because I think it was 5 before half time, 5-6. I know your personality and what you're about. You're going to light a fire under 1 or 2 around you. You're going to, if need be, go steam into a couple of tackles, and you're going to say, we ain't going to allow this to get ugly. That's on the players. That's on your group of players, Rob. If I'm in that team, I'm barking orders all day. I'm fighting with some of my teammates because that's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. Incredibly embarrassing.
We will look on the... Scott, has to take his amount of credit. He's a manager. He's setting them up, that thing. But you're out on the pitch, you're a professional, Rob. There's got to be a little bit more from the group, hasn't there?
Do you know what? And this is more manager than player. I was at Middlesbrough. We were Arsenal. Brilliant Arsenal team.
Yeah.
I mean, like whatever, 90s, like brilliant team. And I think it was something like 4 or 5-0. Brian Robson called me over from the sideline at was it Highbury then? I think it was
Probably Highbury, yeah.
And I ran over and he said, make sure this doesn't get embarrassing.
Yeah.
Basically to say to me, get out there and you organise and you tell everybody this is not going to... So we blocked it all up. And it wasn't more than 5 or 6. Yeah, it might have been 6
which
or 5
isn't
or 6.
Great,
which isn't great. But not 8s and 9s
with loads of other
damaging.
chances.
It's damaging. I mean, it wasn't, so point taken, like, come on. Yeah. That's a crazy number of goals to give up. It just really is. But on Liverpool side of things, I mean, I did the highlight sheet.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have time for replays. There's so many goals. And the Trent Alexander-Arnold goal in the top corner was amazing. Bobby Firmino led the front line, gets a couple of goals, was incredible. Luis Diaz with a couple of headed goals there that shows his goal potential. I mean, incredible.
Harvey Elliott gets his first Premier League goal.
Beautiful.
And tears and that. Lovely scene, yeah.
How did Mo Salah not score or assist? Like, what's the odds of that? Liverpool played Bournemouth, they beat them 9-0, and Mo Salah played the whole game, I think.
Yeah. No goals, no assists.
It's just kind of, it's just a weird one.
Maybe a good thing. Reliance on him in the past. Other people can score goals.
Yeah, but no. In terms of reaction, Rob, for Liverpool, real quick, I think it was always going to be a tough time to go to. And Klopp said
he had a big week, didn't he? Meetings and
the Man United is a hurtful, not damaging, but just a hurtful result. Yeah. And I think we all expected a reaction. That kick starts their
season.
Feels
like the proper season starts.
I don't think we're going to see the. No. And also, it was Henderson, wasn't it? Fabinho started again in midfield. I didn't get that in the Manchester United game that Fabinho didn't start. But no, I mean, enough said, isn't it? 9-0, back on track, front player scoring. There's others to come back from injury, of course, at Liverpool. Needed it, got it. They're back, aren't they?
Absolutely back. What is crazy with the Premier League fixture, it sometimes throws the storylines together. Chelsea face Leicester. They've been on this long-standing trail of Wesley Fofana. That was announced, I think, on the Friday night or Saturday morning that it's been agreed. Fofana's going to join Chelsea. Finally, they've agreed all the terms and conditions. The two teams play at Stamford Bridge, and we've got an interesting game. Lots of interesting. There was a few interesting points came out of this one. Chelsea got the job done, courtesy of a brace of goals from Raheem Sterling, first Premier League goals for the football club. Yeah. He, right now, Rob, is carrying the weight of Chelsea's attack.
He is. And again, this is one of those 10 o'clocks today.
Yeah.
So our eyes are everywhere on our we have a big old screen at the back of our studio with it's hard to keep the real details of what's going on. Yeah. But when you see it, like Raheem Sterling, 2 goals, well done. Like, what about the other attackers then? What about the other attackers? Is it Thomas Tuchel that isn't getting enough out of the other attacking players? Which I started to think of, by the way.
Yeah, you started to go
down
that road.
You think of Lukaku, well, okay then. But then you got Timo Werner.
Yeah,
you got Hakim Ziyech that's not done it. I mean, Kai Havertz. It's like, well, hang on a minute. That's a lot of Pulisic. Lots of front players that have not done it. Is it all their fault, or is it partly Thomas Tuchel as well? Maybe Raheem Sterling can show us. Like, he scored 2 goals. Like, maybe it's not. Maybe it is these front players that got to step up and perform. Okay. Winner of the day, loser of the day, Conor Gallagher, with an opportunity. And I don't mean loser in a totally derogatory way, but in terms of coming out of this game, like, he's got this opportunity, Conor Gallagher, to be a first team player, or certainly in remain at Chelsea, not go out on loan. For those who can't remember or don't know, he was brilliant at Crystal Palace on loan last season, and we wanted him to have a chance.
Many takers if he
many
was
takers. But is it emotionally difficult to? I mean, if you're a manager, do you trust him now, Conor Gallagher?
That was the word I was going to. And Tuchel's talked to it. Christian Pulisic, we hear, inverted commas, isn't someone he trusts. That's why he doesn't get enough starts. Conor Gallagher, Rob, is an intelligent footballer. I've got friends at Palace who saw him there, see him train, and know about him. I sense he's so determined to prove that he's good enough that he makes that challenge, the second challenge. It was in 6 minutes he got 2 yellow cards. Yeah. So it's not like it's not on your mind of any forget or whatever. He's made one. The second one, I think he's worried about establishing himself in that first team, and it's the kind of thing that will work against him. Because a top manager, when you're in a Big Six club and you're playing a Big Six team and you think the pressure's on, it's now about decision making, you're not sure that Conor Gallagher's going to make the right decisions. And that'll hurt him.
It's just whether Thomas Tuchel gives him another opportunity or another 2 or 3
Because they could have
opportunities.
lost that game, Rob, by the way, yesterday. I mean, Hobby Bonds gets a goal back. Jose Perez hits the ball. Jamie Vardy goes round the goalkeeper, hits the side. Then could easily have
It's not
dropped 2
Chelsea.
points.
Chelsea are still finding their feet, mate.
Yeah.
They're still finding their way a little bit. The transfer window is coming up on Thursday, Rob, isn't it? I think for here it's like 6 p.m.
We've got a podcast on
Eastern
Thursday.
time. We're going to podcast at the end of that.
The window will be closed.
So it'll be closed. So we'll know what the deals are. We expect some players to come into Chelsea. Yeah. Just a couple of interests. So remaining on Conor Gallagher, I want to talk about Gallagher quick. I want to talk about Armando Broja and Christian Pulisic.
Yeah. If I'm Crystal Palace, I'm all over the phone on Conor Gallagher. From the moment I'm back on the bus, if I'm Patrick Vieira, I've got Thomas Tuchel on speed dial. Because I think you've got a chance of getting him.
Now you have,
I think you've got a chance of getting him.
Christian Pulisic.
Agent needs to be working.
Yeah,
Agent needs to be working. He needs to move from the football club.
He does.
Because he's not going to play regular first-team football into a World Cup. We've talked about it before. There'll be takers, Rob. There'll be takers because of his ability, and there'll be takers because of his nationality. But there'll be takers.
I mean, his goals and assist numbers. Yeah, I know sometimes he's easy coming off the bench, but they're decent. There's a ton of really good-sized clubs that you would think would be interested in taking him on loan.
Absolutely.
So that's somebody certain to watch out for. And Armando Broja, the striker, that I don't think again the Tuchel trusts him as a 9 or even coming off the bench as a 9, which is a shame for me. I want to see him.
He might be somebody loan they think can come back and do a job. Because I remember I've said to you I was watched them train a couple of times up in LA when they were over in the summer. And it was really interesting because we both like Broja. We saw what he did at Southampton. We both think he's got a bright future. When he was in the heat of training and the ball was buzzing around, he didn't quite look at the level.
So, smacks of he needs another Premier League season on loan somewhere.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, there's at least a dozen teams that could do with that.
Absolutely.
Potential to strike.
And he's going to play somewhere, and he's going to play in a first team and get games under his belt. So, Thomas Tuchel gets the job done. Little quick word on Brendan Rodgers, Rob. Will you just be pleased that the window's done? Some of the talk can stop, then they can concentrate. You know, there's been the Tielemans saga. We'll see how that ends up. But he's back in the team. The Fofana thing's been a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, Schmeichel goes out the door. The fella Ward in goal. Doesn't quite look like he's the kind of replacement that you'd want to make.
Yeah.
Is Brendan under a little bit of pressure? I mean, I know we're talking early days. It's 4 games gone in the league. They're bottom of the table with 1 point.
Yeah. He's under pressure. He'll want the window to close very quickly, and maybe then some of the players will switch on and get their head down.
Yeah.
It's still a good squad of players, isn't it? I mean, they're way better than their position. So any time, if you look at a league table, I know there's only 4 games played, but there's some that stand out. Well, they're obviously better than that.
Yeah.
Or they're obviously, they're lucky to be. But Leicester is there. They're better than that.
Yeah.
So he is under pressure. I think what he's done there will buy him plenty of time. But let's reevaluate Leicester City, Rob, after the window closes and he's got a regular lineup. But awful start for Leicester City, when they've got plenty of good players in the team.
Erik Ten Hag got his first win as Manchester United manager. Great win against Liverpool. We all talked about the good things that Manchester United did, the basis of where the victory came from. I think all eyes were on for Manchester United at Southampton, looking at the game and saying, was that a one-off? You know, are United going to drop the standards again? They weren't at their sparkling best. It wasn't the intensity and the speed in the game against Liverpool, but they got the job done, Rob. And can he take some good things away from that 1-0 victory?
I think he can. I thought it was actually really good. And I know it's not the scintillating football that the United fans are going to want at some point. And to be fair to Erik Ten Hag, it's not really his style, actually. He wants tons of possession, control. So he'll work on that. But I think the obvious thing, when I look at this Man United team going into this game, we all gave them tons of credit, and rightly so, for that victory on Monday night against Liverpool. But I keep looking at the players. And I see, lots of similar players for last season in certain spots. But I look at the back line, this is different. And that gives me, and maybe United fans, hope that, we're getting a different foundation here. I mean, three of the four are very different. I mean, even Dalot hasn't played a ton. Tyrone Malacia, 23 years of age, looks like a good signing. Well done so far.
Yeah.
Lisandro Martinez finding himself, aggressive, quick.
Hasn't
lost an aerial challenge.
I might have to look at tape on that one. But
other stuff he's doing really well. To be fair, he's never going to be giant in the air, obviously.
No,
but he's
knows how to use his body.
He's quick. He's aggressive. He likes to tackle. Varane is kind of newish, looks happy, and Dalot. So it's a different back four. And Christian Eriksen in midfield, obviously the other side of the game now in terms of technicality. I think he's a really good footballer. And I think United need that continuity, the possession control and switching plays. He's very smooth on both sides, right side, left side. Link him with Bruno Fernandes, who gets a goal. It's a really nice Manchester United goal. So right now, I think I said it. I think before the Manchester United, show us something. Give us a start of a foundation. And to be fair, I think that's exactly what we've seen from the Man United game. The start of a new foundation, a new structure, a new work ethic, spirit, distance covered, whatever it wants to be, attitude.
He talked about that, didn't he?
That's what we're seeing, and that's two now. Good attitude, good spirit, fighting ability, defensively structured, strong. On you go.
Totally agree. I thought there was baby steps, but in the right direction. I think it's about starting to build on some of these basics, which you'll want. Just want to go again a bit of detail, mate, on a couple of things. Casemiro, we saw him later in the game, came on for McTominay. You just sense that he's going to come in and make a big difference. And all of a sudden, Rob, I was thinking about Casemiro behind Eriksen and Bruno.
As a three like that?
As a three, how we can... Ain't bad looking. I know Bruno and Eriksen might have to do a little bit more work than they used to, but Ten Hag might be able to get a little bit of that out of them.
But also, why not Eriksen alongside Casemiro?
With Bruno.
In the hole as a number 10.
Certain days, certain situations.
I think that's interesting. Just in terms of transfers, Rob, I just want to hit on a couple of things here.
I think we want to go the same place on one. Or I want to go to your... I want to go on to Marcus Rashford.
Oh, okay.
First.
Go on then.
Looked lively, looked more like the Marcus Rashford we know in the Liverpool game.
Right.
I thought against Southampton, he was quite poor. I thought there were times, Rob, and I said in broadcast when we were talking about it, I said sometimes when I was a midfield player who needed a centre forward to play off, I wasn't a great technical player. I needed... At times he's running, he doesn't particularly, I don't think, understand the role of a centre forward at times. When to show,
but when to someone who runs in behind a great.
He does make great runs in behind,
but sometimes
mixing
it up in the right.
And I need to. Manchester United sometimes need something to build off. And as a centre forward, now he might argue, and people might say his best position is from the left, coming in, and that's why he's not. And I get that, but also. You've got to be better. He's got to understand sometimes his role in the team. And I still feel like we're going to get up and down Rashford.
I agree.
And that,
I'd love
that's
to say
a
something
problem,
different.
Rob.
I'd love to say something different. And I couldn't love the guy, what he does in the way he carries himself. His humility, his genuineness.
What he's done for the communities and people.
I can't believe that he's going to change into a regular performer and scorer.
For Man United.
I just don't. And I'm sure there's a ton of people that disagree with me. And we've all seen signs, and we've all seen great finishes, and we all know the pace, and we all know the trickery, and these other things that,
there's lots of
but then just that, there's other parts of making it as a forward player, front player, particularly a club like that size, and consistency, and maybe intelligence in linking the play, when to come short, when to go in behind. And he might be the number 9 now. I mean, Ronaldo, the whole Ronaldo thing is something else we have to touch on, Rob. It looks like they're going to try and get rid of Cristiano Ronaldo.
He's got to turn the window,
So
somebody can take him.
So who else is going to play up front?
Well, Anthony Martial got an Achilles injury from the Liverpool game, was missing, but there's talk about him getting an extended contract right now, Rob.
All right.
And he might, they might have to go down that route at the moment. With the window open, they're desperate for centre forward.
It's hard, isn't it? Like just the last week of the window to try and find a centre forward, absolutely right. By the way, Anthony, have Ajax turned down... I think they turned down 90 million euros.
Can I come back to Anthony on the next podcast? Because I need to go and watch some video and be sure what... I think this player who's got 8 goals last year in the Eredivisie, who plays in a wide position, who I don't know that much about, Rob, but
No, I don't. To be fair, we got to do some research on him, and like everybody else, we have to.
And Ten Hag obviously knows him and must sing him, value him. I mean, $100 million.
I think they've agreed a fee now.
Yeah, now $100 million.
Yeah. Now, all I would say is, so far, based on a little bit of his signings.
Yeah.
And I know he's gone to Ajax and in different spots that you might not think the United players have come from. Lisandro Martinez and Toro Malacia, Ericsson, kind of done all right.
Yeah.
They've got themselves in the side. They've done all right. So, you know what? If this, I mean, if he's got to be a real star. He's got to be a star for many, many seasons when you pay $100 million for a player. So it looks like that's going to happen. And we know that Anthony is desperate to come to Manchester United. I'm sure his wages go up multiples from Ajax to Manchester United. It looks like it's going to get done before the deadline on Thursday. But Ronaldo, final thought. Does he?
Time to say goodbye.
But is there going to be a club that's going to work?
I think both parties will hope so, because I'm not saying he's going to be a bad egg, because I don't think that's in his personality. No. But I'm not sure it's the right thing to keep a player who's been desperate all the way through the window to get out the door. And then you go, everything's okay, now come and be my centre forward. Yeah, and I don't even know, even with the team now, how it's playing and the personalities that are in there, does he affect it in a positive way? And we've talked about whose responsibility that and who it falls on more. It just feels better for me, Rob, if Ronaldo leaves the building.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there's obviously Napoli is the current club that's being touted around. I'd have to think if he stays at the club, he would get his head down and do his best for the team. I mean, he's got basically no other option until at least January. So, no, well done Man United and well done Erik ten Hag.
Just let me chuck one at you, just because it just come to my head.
Yeah.
How about, and I heard the Aubameyang to Chelsea thing might. Manchester United going to take Aubameyang?
I don't mind it. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Aubameyang.
Scores goals, can link play, still got pace, can go in behind. Attitude, big club.
It's not. I mean, his behaviour's not Arteta standard, but it's been fine for many other clubs and many other managers. He's almost guaranteed goals, isn't he?
He knows the league. It's not such a big gamble. It smacks
of short-termism with Igalo and Falcao and Zlatan. It was good.
It is what it is.
So
at United
many older.
Moment,
like, when are they going to buy a forward, Rob? That they like. Okay, this is the future for.
Well, that's some joined up thinking that I think is going to have to come later. Ticking.
By the way, I've got something to add on Southampton, haven't I? So Southampton. I thought Southampton were mostly pretty good. Yeah. And I'm going to chuck in. This is my underappreciated performer, right? But this is not so much underappreciated performer. It's keep an eye out for this guy.
Yeah, unknown performer.
Yeah. And it is. Where's his full name? Because he's got a bit of a long name. Armel Bella-Kotchap, German. I think just over $10 million, 20-year-old Southampton centre-back. Of course, super new, played alongside Salisu, who's only 22. We know about the young players coming into this football club. He had an outstanding game. Yeah. Not only defensively, tackles but also going forward. Yeah. He got into some great situations. Big size, good tackler, comfortable on the ball, likes to get forward. Yeah. He's 20.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exciting. So I want to give a shout out to him.
Good shout. Really
Bella-Kotchap, Armel Bella-Kotchap for Southampton, centre back, number 37. Watch out! It looks like a player.
Good shout. Virgil van Dijk came to that football club. Right. Rob was a little bit raw, and all of a sudden.
Well, that's the part. That's the whole part of this kind of our little thing is to keep your eyes out for
Fofana came into the football club. Rob, he's just gone for.
Well, I'm sure he won our underappreciated because he's.
Good shout with Bella-Kotchap on that one. Okay, my friend, let's move it to today's game. City Ground, Nottingham Forest versus Tottenham. Some more fun. Forest Ground, City Ground jumping. Forest fans loving being back in the league. I think we're all enjoying seeing Forest back in the league. The big headline really with Forest was 17 players in this recent window, and there's talk about even more.
I changed my notes when I did my notes like 2 days. 16. I mean, I'm crossing stuff out every day when new players come.
I mean, Steve Cooper just welcoming anybody into that dressing room. But in terms of the match, Rob, in terms of how the game played out, I thought Forest gave a decent account of what they can be and what might be achievable. Spurs are showing me the Spurs they're going to be under Antonio Conte.
Set.
Clean sheets, goals, Harry Kane, key to most of the threat through the counter-attack, turnovers, transitions. And I had a line about Conte, because I know last week you were quite strong on the show, and then talked about after, like, so whether this okay for Spurs with the quality and the quality of football, and my thought was Antonio Conte would win the award for the I don't care what people think about me. If it's the opposition, if it's the media,
right.
if it's maybe his own players, and maybe Heung-min, someone will talk about it, might find that out, or other players. He doesn't care, Rob, as long as you're doing what he wants
and
he's
the team
winning
is tough.
Yeah,
and it's
team's
resilient
tough and winning football matches.
Yeah, I think it's right. And listen, I don't mind that approach when it's done really well, and that means tough to score against, tough to shoot against. It's like a Mourinho. It's like Jose Mourinho. It really is. Like it's 5-4-1. This is against Nottingham Forest. And it's interesting, Harry Kane afterwards said, we've got to start better. We can do better than that. We said it the last game. I'm thinking, it ain't going to change too much, mate. It's not. Antonio Conte was interviewed afterwards and never said anything about a poor start. It's the way they are. And when they get the first goal, for the most part, see you later, because that makes team come after them. It's classic counter-attacking. It's reactive football. He's like that. He's literally, the team is like, all right, come on. They're invited to attack, because you go and try and do your stuff. You go and try your expansive and your little combinations and playing through the lines and all the buzzwords and all that. And we're gonna hoover up. You made little mistakes, thanks, and we're gonna just go boom, 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 boom. We're gonna score. You do all that fancy stuff. We'll react to the errors and the missed passes and everything else, because it's not easy to be silky and expansive for a lot of these teams. And we're gonna just go and punish those mistakes. Happened again today. Obviously, the key part of that is when it's 0-0 or when it's 1-0 for large periods, you've got to trust the back. You've got to trust that they can keep a clean sheet, because it's a little vulnerable to. Well, I'm inviting you on. That was actually pretty good, and they score and they don't get the 3 points. Hasn't happened yet. They've got the wins, but that's how it's going to be, and it's when done well by Mourinho and Conte. And by the way, just think of the top 6, Rob. Nobody else does it.
Nobody else wants the opposition to have the ball.
And there isn't many champions in England that's done it.
No, most
His
teams
Chelsea,
don't want it.
Mourinho's Chelsea. All the others they try and create and score. So it's different, but I don't mind it, mate. I love a man with a plan. He's got a plan, and it's working all right.
I think he's the only guy who's won the Premier League title playing the 3 at the back, Rob. In this system, you just got a thought for me there, and I just wanted to let me run this one past you before we maybe hone in on Heung-min's son. It was a bit of a story today. You just said it, and it was interesting. You said, like, Harry Kane came out, he was with our colleagues at Sky, and said, we want to do better, get the ball, we've got to start games better and have more possession. And Antonio Conte kind of came on and went, we did all right. Almost like he's okay with it. Is this part of the biggest challenge for Conte? Like, there's a Spurs way of playing. Spurs have always adhered.
You didn't care. You said he didn't care.
No, I say he don't care, but I'm just saying, is this one of the challenges that he's wrestling with at this football club, that some players may still think we're Spurs. The Pochettino Spurs, we play the Spurs way and we want a ball. And he's like, oh, hold on a minute, you've been there and that didn't work. I'm in charge now. Is the challenge to get everybody aligned to what he wants part of what's going to be an ongoing process? Or do you think they've got it now? We've heard about pre-season, we've heard about... Is there something in Spurs that wants to be you're talking good on the eye and have possession and play football?
Let's do this with 2 groups of people. The fans, right? And I think this is a similar punchline to both of these people. The fans would love to see that.
Better football.
Was it the Wolves, wasn't it, last weekend, where I'm like, God, is that kind of okay? Like, it was so drab and a bit boring and super safe. And they go off half-time and it's kind of super quiet. They need to win. So the fans are like, this isn't, but we're winning. That's great. I think it's the same with the players, Rob. I don't think the players are ever going to say, God, blimey, this is boring, or can't we try and be... I think they'll buy in when the results are good. They'll be like...
But the results were good today, but Harry was critical and Conte wasn't. So that tells me, if they're both being honest, that tells me that they're slightly different viewpoints. Maybe the dressing room.
Of what a good performance looks like from the team.
Or how you feel about a good performance.
I mean, Kane...
scores 2 goals.
And won't it quickly realised that, well, actually, we don't possess a lot, but I'm actually scoring a lot.
Correct.
Actually, I could have scored more.
Yeah.
And I'm getting opportunities. I missed a penalty. I should have had 3 today.
He's got him in the Champions League. He's had success. He looked everywhere he's played. He tends to win something.
Yeah.
So, but it was just interesting when you said it, and then I'm thinking about it.
Is there a disconnect? Is there a disconnect between what the manager is happy with, and what the players
feel?
Yeah, because I'm sure they don't enjoy not having the ball. But anyway,
they enjoy winning. That's what they did. Let's talk about Heung-min Son, Rob, because he's been, he's been a star. He's an absolute star. We've talked about him many times glowingly, and how giving, how humble, the goals, the threat,
superb.
And at times I think people can be a bit condescending and talk about all the hard work and great lad. He's a great goal scorer and he's a great footballer. Start of this season, there was a little bit of attention that he got 23 goals last season. He'd had a couple of chances in the first 3 games, hasn't scored. Plays it today against Forest, and looked to me, Rob. And again, I'm looking from the outside in, from thousands of miles away, but just like a little spark of confidence isn't quite there. He went through a couple of times. He looked to pass one to Kulusevski when he would have shot. He went through with the goalkeeper a couple of times. Once I think he was offside, but he hit the goalkeeper. He hit one straight shot at Henderson.
He hit another shot that was a good opportunity over the bar. We've seen him bend in the top corner many times.
Just, where are we with Heung-min Son? And the reaction that he came off, he obviously wasn't happy and had words to say. Richarlison came on again, Rob, affected the game. Beautiful ball for Harry Kane. Conte won't worry about making a big call, will he?
I don't think he will. I think Antonio Conte is particularly difficult to read in some situations.
Yeah.
I would think, and it's totally normal for any player to have a bit of a poor run. I mean, crikey, he's been
40 Premier League goals in the last 2 seasons.
Says everything.
And he's not even played down the central areas of the pitch.
So, I think I said in the show today that he is having to run back a lot now. The nature of the way it's going on. Maybe that's affected him a little bit. I don't know. I mean, he scored plenty of goals last year under the same manager. But I would think Richarlison deserves a chance to start. Why wouldn't you? I mean, why waste? I mean, you can be loyal to the Heung-min Son for what he's done, give him more time to score. But when you spent, what was it,
$73
million on Richarlison, he's sat on the bench patiently, he's come on, he's affected things. The ball was the ball of the weekend.
By the way, the win to get the ball, first of all, Rob, his determination to go over, be strong and win it back.
That's exactly what the manager wants, and that's why he brought him into the club. So I would think he's been pushing for a start. I mean, unless the manager kind of likes the impact off the bench for now. I mean, Ivan Perisic is starting now. Basuma's got to be patient. Longley's got to be patient. Romero's out injured right now, so it's Davinson Sanchez and not Longley. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Richarlison starts the next game.
I'd agree, and Heung-min Son might not like it, but when you have competition for places, when you have 2 guys who could almost play for every one spot, and you're sitting on, you've got to be true to the other guys as well. You've got to be true to those guys and go, okay, this is your opportunity. Now you go in and you've got to
you have 3 or 4 games. If you have 3 or 4 quiet ones, you're going to come out.
And I think we all thought Kulusevski might be the one in danger of possibly dropping outside or being rotated a bit with Richarlison. His standards have still been good. He's still looked a threat, and it could be Heung-min Son. So
thing is, Rob, there's Wednesday
so many games.
They got West Ham away.
Got Champions League to come and cup competition.
They got West Ham, Fulham. There's a ton of games coming. So he is going to. I mean, there will be some rotation up there. I want a quick line on Forest before we move on, Rob. I think Rebecca asked us in the show. How difficult is it for Steve Cooper to know his best team? Well, it's impossible. There's so many players that have come in the door, and he's just figuring out certain. I mean, it's impossible. It's just how many weeks will it take? Emmanuel Dennis, is he going to start up front? Onyewu, is he going to be him starting up front? Brennan Johnson, the player that came, continued, looks really, really good. Gibbs White's just been signed for big money. Jesse Lingard. I mean, there's so many options. It's going to take him a while to figure out his best team. Great energy, great stadium, great flipping boost from the stadium. And I like the way that they play, but they've got to find
got to get
somewhere.
Some results, start sticking some results together. Okay, mate. Let's just go to a few other results, and I think we've got to start off with Brighton 1, Leeds 0. We're all looking forward to this game on Saturday with the 10 o'clock kickoff. The back set it up as England v USA.
The bright young managers.
Versus Jesse Marsh, and both come off good wins the weekend before. Brighton beating West Ham, Leeds beating Chelsea. It was Brighton, I thought, who bossed this one a little bit, Rob. I talked about I did a bit on the tactics board in terms of Brighton want to make that pitch big. They're going to pass. They're going to be, technically good. Leeds are going to want to compress it and press the ball and win it back and get turnovers. Didn't really get that energetic sort of press going that they had against Chelsea. Brighton are very good with a team-shaped Rob, lots of rotations and movement. He played Trossard under Welbeck. He played Grossen. Caicedo looks a player with McAllister. And Brighton, I just thought, showed that they're further down the road than Leeds. They got a couple of ways of playing and a bit better understanding of what the manager wants.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, football beat pressing.
Yeah.
In this particular game, Marsh has proven that he can press and organise that as good as anybody.
Yeah.
But you're right, Brighton the groove right now, and some of the decisions that he makes, and it is quite remarkable. Mark Cucurella, Yves Bissouma, Neil Maupay.
Yeah.
I mean, less so Neil Maupay, but still.
Yeah, he's top goal scorer, joint top goal scorer last season, 7 goals.
I mean, 3 of their best players gone or going.
Yeah.
Maupay's going to Everton. Yeah. And yet, they sit. I mean, it's only 4 games. They sit 3rd in the table.
Yeah.
You've got Alexis McAllister, who's an attacking midfield player, playing as the holding defensive midfield player. Trossard that started the first couple of games as wing back. Estupinian from
it came in first Premier League start.
And the left wing back looks great. So Trossard plays up front. It's just an impressive team and a club that, you look back at Chris Hughton's Brighton, Rob, a few years ago, and we said, it's so structured and boring, and he's totally changed it. He's done a remarkable job.
I always feel like Brighton, in some ways, a bit like City, they're intermovable pieces. People can play in a number of different parts and be comfortable. It's no big thing. And to that point, my friend, my underappreciated player of the week is a man who never gets the headlines. Pascal Gross. I think he was signed, Rob, for
What a little player.
$4.5 million. I mean, $4.5 million now doesn't buy Anthony's toenail from Ajax. Yeah, he's got 5 goals, 2 assists in his last 7 Premier League games. Can play in a number of positions.
Play all over.
Play wide, can play in the hole, can play next to a front guy.
Anywhere. Yeah.
He's a perfect example of a Graham Potter player. Technically good, intelligent, can play in different positions, and has a goal set. And in Graham Potter's team, and the criticism always is, the football doesn't quite get you enough goals. If Danny Welbeck's going to get, let's say, close to double figures, and Welbeck's been another story as well, then the Trossard and Gross and March from the wide position, and Caicedo and McAllister are all going to have to chip in with the goals if they are going to sort of stay around the top end of the table.
Do you know what's interesting about Pascal Gross, right? And I know it's an age of stats-based recruitment and databases of all these different attributes of players. I'm guaranteeing Pascal Gross is slow as anything. I guarantee he can't run very far. But what a technically gifted player he is. He don't have to be like super athletic. He's a lovely footballer. Uriah's important. He wouldn't flash up on stats because he's not that guy. But in terms of quality decision-making and technicality,
he doesn't get away from the 2 Robbies, my mate. Underappreciated player of the week, Pascal Gross.
Good shout.
Pascal Gross, good shout. Let's talk about Wolves 1, Newcastle 1. Wolves are having a bit of a tough time of it, but go 1-0 up in the game through Neves with a lovely strike. And then we get another example of Alan St. Maximin's ability, Rob. The volley he hits from a mistake clearance, I think, Ichan Wang with the clearance. And just watch it if you haven't seen it, because it tells you everything about Alan St. Maximin's technical ability.
Yeah, it does. I mean, there aren't many players I think can pull that off. I mean, it didn't look that spectacular. It didn't fly into the top corner.
But the degree of difficulty we know, don't we?
Yeah, just a long ball. He's hitting it first time on a volley from a clearance.
I mean, he the same distance.
Yeah, how well is he playing right now, by the way? I mean, he was a player that we thought that Eddie Howe, I'm not sure. Yeah. I want an unreliable player.
Patrick Vieira had him at Nice, I think it was, wasn't it, France? And there was a bit of a noise like he was a bit of a Balotelli, a bit of a bad boy of football.
The attitude was questionable.
And not timekeeping and all that. But whatever it is, Eddie Howe's getting out. Would say though, Rob, just at the end of that game, he came off with a muscle injury.
Well, it looked like he's holding the back of his leg, wasn't he? Was it the back of his leg?
We don't know for sure, but it looked like there was some injury. I mean, that would be a massive blow for them. the way they're going. Things going really well for Eddie Howe and Newcastle United.
You know what? It's other games. Listen, the stories everywhere, right? And a game that we watched again today, Sunday, Aston Villa versus West Ham United. You know, two teams that have had a bad start. You know, two managers at either end, in some ways, of their managerial career. Tons of experience of David Moyes, less so of Steven Gerrard. And we thought that something's got to give. I mean, it could have been a draw where it's both disappointing for both sides. But if there's a loser, then that's a story. And there's some pressure added. Well, there was a loser. And it was Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa, Rob. They lost 1-0. Pablo Fornals scores with a little bit of a deflection. The 74th minute I've got written down here to win the game 1-0. David Moyes at half-time changed things, changed the shape, changed the personnel, made a difference. They weren't very good in the first half. They were better. And Steven Gerrard's Villa, Rob, didn't change. They
weren't bad in the first half, were they?
Yeah, they were. I thought
created a couple of things and looked the more likely. But you're 100% right. Half-time didn't change. And when he did make changes, Rob, it was like for like. So it wasn't that he changed the outlook or the flow of the game. He just changed different people in the same positions.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Villa fans will put me straight. I see a very narrow team.
Yeah,
Rob.
You talked about it on the tactics
board.
board.
I did a tactics board before the game. I said, this is how they play. It's kind of a diamond. Though he calls it 4-3-1-2, not a diamond, whatever, technicalities. But they're narrow. Coutinho's narrow. Watkins and Ings are central players. McGinn, Douglas Luiz, Kamara, narrow players. The width is for the fullbacks, Matty Cash and Luca Digne. Good. They're very, very good parts of the team. But when the ball gets out there, well, there's nobody.
There's no
it's just going to be, all right, I'm going to just cross the ball in.
Combination, or they come back.
Right. So there's no... They didn't get behind.
No.
West Ham's back
all
four.
in front.
All in front. And there's some decent-looking crosses that came in. But West Ham, and I thought particularly Kurt Zuma was very, very good.
It was one of them days where if you don't make a mistake and head things and defend things,
you're going to clean sheet.
It doesn't look like they're going to score.
So for Steven Gerrard's point of view, Rob, what he's got Jake Ramsey. I mean, some of these players came into the game. Leon Bailey came in, didn't he?
Yeah, got Buendia.
But how about trying something different? How about having wingers, like go 4-3-3 and throw those wide players out wide and try and pull defenders apart?
And then you might get Coutinho.
Then you might get people in behind, and you stretching the back four of West Ham United were not stretched. They can be lovely and tight and narrow, which makes it harder to get in between them. So, I don't know. Listen, I'm sure maybe the Villa fans see something but that it's starting to get... This is a good squad of players. There's been a lot of money spent. 14th last year is okay, and he's a young manager learning his trade at this level. I get that. But the more the weeks go on, Rob, the results need to come. And changes, something different. The fans need to see... I mean, it seemed today, right, that the team, let's just say as a team, ran out of ideas. Ran out of ideas how to create and score a goal.
And the coaching staff.
Well, everybody, the team, the group as a whole, run out of ideas. And there's quite a lot of options there.
It's not a good place to be 4 games in the season.
Douglas Luiz and Cameron in the same midfield, and McGinn sitting.
You just think maybe, and again, Ramsey's a young player. We don't know whether, physicality, but he's someone who runs on, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
just
really
breaks the defensive line.
Well, he did it a few times last year, Rob. Remember, I think the game we were at, he ended up dribbling through. So that's a concern. It's a poor. What are they now? They won. They
won against Everton, didn't they?
Yeah.
They won, when Frank played Stevie. But that's their only win, Rob, of the season. It's 3 defeats now, 1 win.
Yeah.
As you say, a little bit of pressure will start. And is it? If they got next up, is it City or? I did have a note somewhere. They play. Villa play Arsenal on Wednesday.
Oh, they got midweeks,
Midweek when?
They've got Arsenal where? Away.
Arsenal.
So.
Yeah, it's not an easy place to go at the moment.
I mean, that was a opportunity because the Villa fans are brilliant. That's a brilliant ground to play at. Brilliant ground. That's a blow, and we'll see if he can get them back at the Emirates.
Let's mention Brentford
last
won,
game, Brentford.
Everton won. Anthony Gordon very much in the news, but he gets himself the Everton goal, and then Brentford, I think, hit the woodwork a couple of times, didn't they, in that game before?
Well, again, hard to keep a close look at all the games. What we saw, it was Brentford that were piling on, almost from the start. And it's a really nice goal. Conor Cody over the ball over the top. Gordon takes it nicely. By the way, can they afford to lose him, Anthony Gordon?
Anthony Gordon. You can if you're offering $60+ million, mate. You can.
Well, what do Everton do though?
Well, we've got Neil Maupay. As I said to Rebecca today, they signed Neil Maupay. I mean, in the wide areas, I suppose they've got Demarai Gray. They've got Townsend's injured, I think, at the moment. Yeah. Wobie's done okay.
I'm worried. I'm worried for Everton. I'm worried for Everton.
Well, we know that financially things aren't great, and if Chelsea offer enough money, it looks like that might be done. We'll see, obviously, between now and Thursday. But it's a big call for Frank, and it's interesting to show two great legendary English players we're fortunate to be able to speak to and have good relationship.
Yeah, we played against them and all that.
Played against them, but tough time from Rob.
Yeah,
and it's interesting. When we made a point, I know we're going to wrap up the pod in a minute, but. The Graham Potters, the Eddie Howes, had what you would call average
Jesse
playing
Marsh,
careers.
like there's a
But I'm
few.
talking of English guys in particular.
Yeah.
And then have gone off and had to
threw
go and
themselves
learn.
into it.
Yeah,
threw
and
themselves
had to
into
go and
coaching.
learn. Graham Potter goes abroad. Was he in Denmark, I think? And then he ends up Swansea. Then he comes to Brighton, and Eddie Howe, similar thing, was at Burnley for a long time, and seen some tough times at Bournemouth.
Learned their trade over a long period of time.
Through. Is there a sense, and I know you were talking about, maybe Steve, that's where Stevie and Frank, I mean, you can never turn down any, it's a great job, but Aston Villa, with the right finance, with that setup, is a team that has a possibility of closing in on that top six.
Definitely.
Closing in on that top six.
Yes.
But Steven Gerrard, and this isn't a criticism of Stevie, but we've got to yet find out that Steven Gerrard got the capabilities to maximise that potential.
Well, the interesting part is, particularly with Steven Gerrard at Aston Villa, is the ownership going to be patient and let him make some mistakes, find his way, change his style. I know his assistant's changed.
Yeah, Michael Beale left. And
I would like to see them stand by him and give him the opportunity, and give him the season and carry on another window, and because it's got to be difficult. And of course, we have the greatest respect for all the managers. We haven't been Premier League managers or even professional
pressures and
managers,
jobs and
but we have to think, and given the ones that we've worked with over the period of time, experience, know-how, decisions over many seasons of, well, in this situation I should deal with him like that, or this substitutions, and I mean all those decisions. This is your decisions, Rob. On that sideline, it's him. What do I do? How do I get more chances? Who do I bring off? Is it Buendia? What it's a lot of stuff to make big calls, and it's normal that he's not going to make all of them great, and he needs time to figure that stuff out. I mean, he ticks so many boxes in everything else. The way he handles himself, the way his demeanour, his attitude, his humbleness, his respect, the way the press conferences are really smart, and he's got all that. But it's a tough business. He needs a little bit of time now and a little bit of backing from an ownership. I think so. That's ambitious, Rob. Yeah. Listen, mate, we're going to have to wrap it up for this week. It's a week where Arsenal remain the only team with a maximum points after 4 games. Joint record 9 goals for Liverpool. Haaland gets his first Premier League hat-trick in 30 minutes. And Ten Hag gets back-to-back wins as Manchester United manager. No problem at all. Just a normal week in the Premier League. Look out for our next podcast. That's on Thursday, September the 1st, when we'll look back at the busy midweek of fixtures and review what's been a crazy record transfer window. This Thursday is the end of deadline day, so Steve Cooper after that won't be able to get any more players in the dressing room. But for now, I'm Earl, he's Mustoe, together with the 2 Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's a good night from me. And it's good night from him. Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.